We're at the Palacio Real in Madrid, the royal palace. And this place has been a seat of power, in fact, a fortress starting already almost 1,200 years ago. This was first an alcázar, the Arabic word for fortress, because this was the fortress in Madrid for the Emir of Cordoba, the ruler of Al-Andalus. And so during the period of Muslim rule, one of the fortresses, the one in Madrid, was right at this location. After the reconquest of Madrid by the kings of Leon and Castile, this became, during the Middle Ages, also a fortress, a castle for the Christian kings. Then came the great power of the Habsburg era, with the rise to power, world power of Charles V at the beginning of the 16th century, and then his son, Philip II. Charles traveled everywhere. He had no single capital at all. He was always on the move, visiting his vast domains around Europe. His son, Philip II, who came to power in the middle of the 16th century, built the Escorial as his place of residence, but established in 1561 that Madrid would be the capital of the unified Catholic Kingdom of Spain. And this was the palace, the center of power for Philip II. Well, that was to the end of the 16th century, and the 17th century was a period of relative decline for Spain after all of the power amassed in the 16th century, the New World conquered by Spain, the possessions across Europe, the Spanish kingdoms, the kingdoms of the Low Countries, the Holy Roman Empire, all of that unified under Spanish rule. In the 17th century, Spain went from the peak of world power to a long period of gradual decline. Philip II was followed by Philip III and Philip IV, and then Charles II throughout the 1600s till the end of the 17th century. And it was an era of non-stop war. Spain lost the Low Countries. Spain was in heated battle, often with France, the 30 Years' War, which pitted Europe in a vast civil war, sometimes religious, sometimes a purely political contest of who would control which domains and which kingdoms. But this was exhausting for the Spanish state. It led to tremendous financial stresses and a long and difficult period. As of 1600, Spain was the power of the region. One can track in the economic data that Spain starts to fall ever so gradually behind the rivals, Britain, France, and then increasingly other countries of Europe, the Netherlands, and later in the 19th century, Germany. So Spain begins a long, gradual decline. This place remained the center of the state, the center of power. In 1734, the Alcázar caught fire. Precious art, we are told, was saved by being thrown from the windows. And a new 18th century palace, the one we see, was put in place of what had been the structures built over the preceding 1,000 years. This remained the home of the Bourbon kings, and the Bourbon kings have remained off and on with the tremendous turmoil and arriving finally at a constitutional monarchy. And democratic parliamentary system of government, still the home of Philip VI, the current king of Spain. In the 18th century, the decline continued. In the 1700s, Spain continued to fall behind militarily and to fall behind economically the rival powers. And those rival powers ate away at Spain's possessions in empire, both in Asia and in the Americas. At the end of the 18th century, Spain was militarily so weakened that when the French Revolution took hold and when Napoleon Bonaparte became the leader of the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars broke out, Spain was in a desperate position, siding first with France, then changing sides, then finally being invaded by Napoleon in 1808, and Napoleon's brother being imposed on the throne of Spain. These were devastating battles. While Napoleon was eventually defeated, the long Napoleonic Wars gravely weakened Spain even further. The 19th century was a period of continued instability, and one can again trace on many different dimensions of economy and society Spain falling further behind other countries of Europe, which were accelerating in their industrialization, in mass literacy, in mass public education, and Spain constantly in turmoil between different forms of government, attempts at republican rule, return or restoration of monarchy, was unable to mobilize the state resources or a coherent policy to keep Spain on track in that first century of modern industrialization.